How do you find companies that hire freelancers? That's the question that I'm going to answer in this video. Now, I'm specifically going to answer it for freelance copywriters, but if your skill or service is something a little bit different, but you are still a freelancer working with various companies, I think that you'll find that the advice is just as applicable to you. Now, this is a little bit different. I'm doing a video issue of my normal Mailbox Monday articles and emails that I send out. Normally on Mondays, I go in my mailbox for breakthrough marketing secrets, and I answer a reader question about copywriting, marketing, business building, selling, whatever. And today I decided to do it as a video. It's a little bit different. I hope that you enjoy it. You can also like the video and comment if you have any thoughts or you have a question you'd like to have answered in an upcoming video. So let's get to our question today. Roy, I really enjoy your work, and I purchased your product, The Copywriter's Roadmap to Building a Core Offer, which really helped me think deeply about how I position myself in the market. Thank you. Question. Do you have examples of publications that hire freelancers? I know Agora does not. I'm in Canada and trying to break into health or financial copywriting. I think I heard you mention that there are still some out there. Thanks for all your help, DS. Now, the one thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to refrain from mentioning any specific companies. I know that you're asking about the health and the financial niche, and probably I would make your search a lot easier, honestly, if I just gave you the names. But also what would happen would be a very small number of people would be bombarded by requests for hiring freelancers. So instead, I'm going to give you broader advice that will hopefully get you to those companies very quickly, but that also, do my clients the kind service of not just being bombarded with people who are looking for an easy opportunity. So I actually have 3 recommendations for you. The first is honestly the most powerful. The third is the simplest. All 3 are incredibly valuable, and all 3 are ways that I have gotten clients as a freelance copywriter or through my business selling my copywriting services. So the first one is go where clients are. Go to conferences, go to industry events, go to masterminds. Honestly, if you go to a direct marketing conference, especially one of the conferences that really attracts marketers in the health and financial niche, what you're going to find is that there are very few copywriters there, with the exception of the big copywriting conferences. There are very few copywriters there, and there are a ton of marketers who really want copywriting help. Now, if you go to like AWAI's job fair, what you're going to find is that the ratio is flipped. There's a ton of copywriters wanting work, but the clients there are so good and capable of handling so much work as far as the need for copywriters goes, that there's also a lot of opportunity in going there. The challenge there is to stand out among the crowd. On the other hand, if you go to a big marketing conference, if you go to a big marketing event, if you participate in masterminds where direct marketers in the health and financial spaces go, what you're going to find is that somebody's going to say, one of the speakers is going to say, what you really need are good copywriters, and you need to crank out a lot of copy, and you need to be testing copy constantly. And like at that point, what happens with these marketers who are at these conferences, at these events, is their antenna go up. And their antenna go up and they say, who is a copywriter? Who is a copywriter? I need a copywriter. And they don't necessarily want to hire a brand new copywriter on staff. They're saying like, I need somebody who can handle a little bit of work. And if they're good, I'm going to give them more work and more work and more work because it's going to pay for itself. Any good copywriter is going to pay for themselves many times over through the work that they produce for the client. And so if you go to these conferences, what you're going to find is as soon as the speakers start talking about copywriters, you're going to have a line of people who want to talk to you during the breaks, in between sessions at the conference. So absolutely go to industry conferences, go to events, talk to people, tell them that you're a copywriter, especially once the speakers start talking about how important it is to be testing a lot of copy and how important it is to put out good copy. Next up is job boards. I've come out against sites like Elance and all the various job boards that I completely forget at this point, but there are limited opportunities for freelancers to connect with new clients through job boards. This was actually how I got my first financial copywriting client. They put out a request to copywriters and said, hey, if you want to write a spec for us, we will evaluate your work. And this is an opportunity to get in the door. We'll, of course, pay you if you get the project, but we want to see what you got first. It's like going through an interview process, except for freelancers, right? So today, you won't find me doing spec work. I have too much of a reputation, and it's too easy for me to get work to actually be doing spec work at this point. However, at that time, I was very willing to do it because I just wanted to prove myself and I wanted to get clients as quickly as possible. And so I wrote a spec and they said, you know what, this is good enough. We'll hire you. We'll go through the process of taking this to a completed project and we'll go from there. And so I got a one project deal, and then I did well enough on that. And honestly, the companies that hire freelancers really have a shortage of good freelancers. Now, they have all the terrible freelancers they want. So if you're a terrible freelancer, they don't want to hear from you. But if you have the drive and you have the skills and you have like a reasonable level of competence, being able to write really good copy or whatever your skill is, you're going to find that the clients that value that and that work with people like you probably have not nearly as many people as they could keep fed, as they could keep paying for these projects, because real skill, for whatever reason, seems to be relatively scarce these days. So I got that one project deal, and then they said, well, could we sign you for 3 more projects? And so I got a 3 project deal. And then I got through 2 of those projects, and the second one was so successful, they said, could we just have you on retainer and have you work exclusively with us as a financial publisher? Now that company is, it's evolved. It's a completely different company now. I wouldn't even encourage you to chase after them in particular, but what that represents is you may go to a job board and you may say, oh, this is just a spec assignment. I'm not that interested in it. But that one spec assignment, if you are able to fulfill on it, it can translate into 1 project and a couple more projects, and then maybe a retainer deal or whatever is right for you. And so I was able to parlay that one spec assignment through a job board where all sorts of different copywriters could be applying at the same time. I was able to parlay that into actually 18 months of full-time work before I decided it was time for me to move on and take my freelance business elsewhere. So pretty awesome, right? The third thing that you can do, so let's say you're not at whatever job boards that may be willing to hire freelance copywriters, or you've kind of scanned there and not found the exact clients that you want. And maybe you're planning on going to some conferences, but you need work in the interim. If you are really invested in getting into a specific niche or industry, you probably know who the big marketers are in that space. You probably know who the big clients are in that space. You should be doing that kind of research. I've actually recommended in the past to actually create a spreadsheet of the different clients that you'd be most interested in working with, that do the kind of work that you are interested in doing. So for me, that was finding a bunch of financial publishers who write or who publish long form sales letters to sell their financial newsletters. Well, I was interested in working with them. So I made a list of all of those companies, everyone that I could find. And then I actually went through and I started contacting them. And I said, hey, do you work with freelance copywriters? Do you hire freelance copywriters? I found people whose titles were things like, sometimes it's copy chief, sometimes it's marketing director or marketing manager. There's all sorts of different titles that they can have, but you're going to look for people who have leadership roles in the marketing or copy departments, and you're going to reach out and you say, you know, are you the person that hires copywriters for your company? And then when they say yes, or when they redirect you to the person who is, then you say, well, do you ever work with freelancers? And then you can ask the question, well, what does it take to get you to consider me for a project? And you have a real human conversation. Preferably at some point there, pretty early in the conversation, you're going to move it to a phone call or like a face-to-face video call, something like that, where you can actually have more of a conversation with them. But really, I mean, it comes down to asking. And if you're not able to ask, if you're unwilling to ask, then I can't really help you. But going back through the advice, go to conferences, go to events, go to places where those potential clients are, And in some cases, they'll even be listed on the website as like attendees of this conference or people who are taking part in this conference. So you go to the conferences, go to job boards in the meantime, look for people who are specifically asking for freelancers or project-based work within your skill set, within the service that you offer. And, lacking all else, find the companies that you want to work for, figure out who in that company is in charge of hiring copywriters, who's in charge of marketing. Sometimes it's going to be the owner. Sometimes it's going to be a copy chief. It's going to be that specific. It's going to vary a lot. But just start asking questions, reach out, do the work of reaching out and having a real like human to human conversation. Hey, I'd like to do this with you. Is it possible? And if it is, like, what do we have to do to move the conversation forward? And so I hope that that's helpful to you. Really, if you're not willing to do that, I can't give you some magic pill beyond that that's going to be something even more powerful, because really these simple things are what add up to early success. And then when you do that, and once you've proven over and over again how you're able to fulfill on your service and your skill set and your capabilities and the results that you promise, then you're going to end up in a situation like me where, like, I don't want to take on more clients. And even when people say, hey, we'd love to give you a freelance project, you don't do that. And by the way, I'm not passing those projects on to other people either. So don't even ask me about that. Go out and find the potential clients you'd like to work with and ask them directly. So with that, if you like this advice, if you like this content, be sure you like the video to tell YouTube that other people like you might like it. Also, be sure to comment if you have more questions you'd like me to answer, if you'd like me to go deeper into any of this, or if you just like to share maybe your success story about doing some of this stuff, be sure to comment below. Also, share the video with other people who might find it valuable, and make sure that you're subscribed if you're not yet already. I will also check the description. I'll make sure to include links to like the Copywriter's Roadmap to Building a Core Offer, and my book, The Copywriter's Guide to Getting Paid, which is all about the business side of running a successful copywriting business, and Breakthrough Marketing Secrets, where you can sign up for my Monday through Friday emails to get my articles and videos about how to run a successful business, how to run a successful freelance copywriting business, about copywriting, business building, marketing, selling, and more. That's at breakthroughmarketingsecrets.com. Now, I've really felt like in these last few months, it's become more and more important to me to help copywriters, freelancers, business builders, other high achievers to live a happier, healthier, more impactful and prosperous life. And I'm making that into my personal mission here. I'm really developing that internally and externally through everything that I put out. And so subscribing to me, if that's important to you, will help me in my mission, and it will help you in those elements of living a happier, healthier, more impactful and prosperous life. So I look forward to having you join me on this mission. And with that, I'm Roy Furr. And again, this has been a video issue of Breakthrough Marketing Secrets, and I look forward to seeing you again in our next video.